So today I have an update for you guys on my Hyte Y60 RGB edition PC build. As you can probably tell, I've already put my own spin on this PC case and added some underglow lighting in the first episode when we did the initial build, and I built inside of the case for the first time. The underglow mod is a massive success. The only sort of potential downside with the underglow lighting, the way I've set mine up, is the restricted airflow. But because I'm not using the glass side panels, it doesn't really bother me too much not having the bottom fans breathe as much air because there's no glass to begin with. And as you can probably tell, I've added even more lights inside of here now. So up in the ceiling of the case, there is another LED light strip, the same one that we used for underglow. I've cut it to size and made it fit around my 360mm radiator up there, and then I added a third LED strip on the graphics card platform, you could call it, and ended up trying to wrap that one in the same shape that the underglow is wrapped around in. And overall, I think this is pretty much near the limit of how much RGB I can pack inside of this build without it beginning to look really bad. This is still, I think, a rather tasteful implementation of RGB lighting, despite there being a lot. Perhaps maybe it could have even come from the factory looking like this, especially with the underglow LED lighting. I wish this was already built into the case, and perhaps something the Hyte brand can consider in the future if they ever release a version 2 of this PC case. Maybe include underglow lighting. Overall, I am super pleased with the way the build has turned out so far, and we're actually going to be upgrading a few key components for this PC build today. One of them I probably should have done a while back. So the power supply in here is an 850 watt Seasonic Focus 80 Plus Gold, and I feel like because of the specs that this PC is running, an RTX 3090, an Intel Core 12900K, we got 64 gigs of RAM, and just a ridiculous amount of LED lighting in here, we are probably getting quite close to the 850 watt mark when the system is under full load. And if I'm running any overclocks on the graphics card and or the CPU, yeah, we're probably getting quite close to that 850 watt mark. So DeepCool ended up reaching out to me and they sent me their PQ1000M 80 Plus Gold modular power supply, rated for, of course, 1000 whole watts. I've gone ahead and unboxed the unit already and plugged in all of the cables that I'm personally going to be using, and whatever else the power supply came with, I'll put on screen now in terms of the total package content. Now, the power supply isn't the only thing that DeepCool sent. They also sent over their LT720 Infinity Series 360mm all-in-one liquid cooler for your CPU. This is what we're going to be upgrading the system with today. It has full ARGB support. It's compatible with most motherboards and RGB software, including Asus Aura, Razer Chroma, Gigabyte, MSI, and ASRock. In my situation, I'm using a Z690 ASRock motherboard for Intel, but it's actually the Razer Edition motherboard. So I've gone ahead and paired it with a Razer PWM fan controller, and just behind this, I also have a Razer ARGB hub for your 3-pin 5-volt addressable RGB devices that actually gives you per LED control of every fan. The Lian Li cables, every LED light strip can be controlled individually per LED, which is incredible. And that is exactly how I'm going to be plugging this guy in as well. Plugging this in directly via 3-pin 5-volt ARGB and having full control of all the lights. Now that does mean that we are going to be replacing the Corsair H150i LCD liquid cooler for possibly the foreseeable future, unless this thing isn't powerful enough to cool my Intel Core i9 12900K, but I have a feeling it's going to be just fine. This Corsair liquid cooler has been really good for me. I would call this an upgrade over the NZXT Z73. It has a much higher quality screen, plus actual LED lighting all around the screen itself. So if you're after a liquid cooler and you're struggling to decide between the NZXT one and the Corsair LCD cooler, I would probably lean towards the Corsair one. I think it is more expensive, but you do get a much more high quality display. And if you want to be playing GIFs on there, it's probably a better experience. Getting back to the DeepCool LT720, this comes with 3 120mm fans. They're rated for up to 2250 RPM. They've really taken an interesting approach in terms of the RGB design as well. This part that actually lights up and uses the 3-pin 5-volt addressable RGB cable with a pass-through as well. And this part actually attaches onto the cooler itself using magnets, which is a neat design. And you'll be pleased to know that this is compatible with just about every single motherboard socket that's been released recently, including the new AMD AM5 and the LGA 1700, which I myself will be using. As with most all-in-one liquid coolers, it also comes with thermal paste pre-applied. And check this out, it actually uses magnets to keep the brackets in place. Wow, I can't believe someone didn't think of this before. And even the screws that hold the brackets in place are magnetized. Look how easy it is to set all of this up. And finally, when it comes to the tubing, they're about 40 centimeters in length, all sleeved, braided, they feel high quality, and as you can probably see, they even come with tube cable clips. Well, tube clips, I'm not sure what you would call these, but they definitely are a nice addition and are optional, but if you do want to use them, they'll just sort of help you manage all your tubing and keep it all in line and looking tidy. Okay, so the system is all unplugged. It is as bare bones as it could probably get right now. Now we are going to be making quite a few changes to the build today, including of course the new power supply. Yeah, this is going to be a mission. Cool, power supply is out. Now that I've removed a couple of these cable ties, oh, this is beginning to look like a spaghetti mess real quick. You know, I think some of them I might actually just leave on in case I ever need to reuse this power supply. I've got a lot of these cable ties now, so. And if you want to pick up some of these cable ties that I'm using, I'll leave them linked in the description down below. They are my very own cable ties that I sell on my website. Currently only shipping to the UK, but I'm going to try to branch into other markets as soon as I can. I initially thought that this would take much longer to sort all of these cables out and manage everything all over again now that I'm swapping a power supply over, but I actually think that's not going to be the case at all. This is pretty straightforward for the most part, mainly because I'm using so many extension cables. However, we're not only just using power cables and swapping the power supply over, we're also swapping the whole all-in-one liquid cooler from Corsair. So I think I should be able to cut down on quite a few cables. Dude, there's a Wasp! It's December, buddy! What are you hibernating in my PC? Yeah, can you please leave the system? Oh! Oh, the Wasp is upside down. I think this Wasp got hit by a fan. Okay, let's transport the Wasp out of here. Well, that was an interesting find. I do wonder now if there's any other animals that have made my PC their home. Similar to the DeepCool that we're about to install, this Corsair liquid cooler also has a detachable plate. And that's all of this out. So we're cutting down on all those cables. I think the only thing to watch out for and remember when you're installing fans onto this bracket here is to remember to put the bracket in between the fans and the radiator, else you're gonna have to reinstall everything later after you find out that you forgot to put the bracket in between the fans and the radiator. Okay, well, this is all looking good to me. Let's see if it fits. I'll lower this down in there. These fan cables and RGB cables. So many of them, man. This is... Look at that. Slotted in, all good. Well, I can confirm this liquid cooler is compatible with the Hyte Y60, if you are ever interested. Okay, well, let's mount this thing on. Before I spend half of today cable managing everything back here again, I'm going to do a quick test boot with the system just to make sure everything is wired up correctly, everything works as expected, which I'm sure it will. I think we're ready for a test boot. Everything is plugged in. Ooh, apart from this critical component, we all know the system will not boot if we don't plug this extra LED strip in. Can I still use this LED light strip? I think I should be fine. And the answer is, ooh, it's a bit tight, but, ooh, can we get that in there? Yeah, it works, man. All good. Everything's hopefully good. There's the power supply switched on. We have lights. That's always a good sign. Okay. So far, so good. The system is powered on. We've got the underglow going, all of that's still working. Check it out, man. The Hyte Y60 RGB Edition PC build is all complete. I've even gone ahead and installed the tempered glass side panels back on because they are very tinted in this Hyte Y60, and they genuinely make a big difference to the LED lighting inside. If you don't have any lights in your PC build and you put the glass on, it will genuinely make everything look very dark in there. I'll turn all the lights off on camera and show you just how big of a difference it makes. And then when you take the glass off, you'll see how much less tinted everything is. The glass makes a big difference to the way the internals look like in there. But when you have LED lights and the glass on, it looks really good. I ran temperature testing with the Corsair H150i Elite LCD and of course the DeepCool LT720, and I ran the temperature testing in 3 different scenarios across both liquid coolers. So the first one was with the glass on and all the side panels on, which of course resulted in the worst thermals. Then I went ahead and took the glass off of the case, ran the tests again, and that improved mainly the graphics card thermals because this GPU is sitting rather close to the tempered glass, as you can see right there. So removing that will of course let the card breathe a little bit better and help dissipate the heat out of the case. But CPU temperatures really didn't improve until I tested everything again with the glass off, with the top panel off, and the side panel also removed, which resulted in, surprise surprise, the best thermals. But of course, no one's really going to be running the case with this off and the side panel off, else you'll probably be rather shocked by the cable management. I'm kidding. It's pretty good. It could be better.
3 hours later.
And now it is actually looking much better. So I spent longer on the cable management off camera just now and managed to get the cables to, I would say, a rather acceptable standard, given how many things are inside of here. And the extension cables really do add just a lot of extra room that's needed in the back of your case because of, in my case, these RGB cables from Li & Li. When you add them, you really do need to make a little bit more room in the back of your PC case to route the normal 24-pin cable that then plugs into the extension, of course. But given how much LED lights and all sorts of other devices are in this PC build, I think it turned out really good in terms of the cable management back here. Overall, it is a really easy case to work with. Really reminds me of how much I liked the original Li & Li 011 Dynamic, the Razer Edition one. That is the first case I had from Li & Li, and it was just such a breeze to work with. The amount of room I had on the back for cable management and the way the power supply was positioned. This is of course very similar to that Li & Li 011 Dynamic PC case. Anyway though, thank you very much for watching as always. If you guys want to sort out your cable management and support the channel at the same time, please consider buying some cable ties from my website down below and sort all your cables out, organize them, make it all look tidy, even at the back of your PC build or in your actual gaming setup. You can really improve the way your setup looks like by just tidying the cables up ever so slightly, and the cable ties are a great way to do that, of course, and a very cheap way as well. Apart from that though, shout out to DeepCool for sending the power supply over and the new liquid cooler. Really appreciate it, and I hope to see you in another video soon. Let me know if you guys want to see more videos on the Hyte Y60 or anything else in the setup, and I'll see you guys next time.